From Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon to Miles Morales catapulting across the Spider-Verse, 2023 has been a great year for movies. And rounding out the year with his top movie selections is Rad. Glad to have you back in the studio.
Thanks for having me back.
Listen, I always love your picks. You have divided them into different categories, so we're going to start with Blockbuster. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, what makes it a blockbuster in your eyes?
Well, I mean, blockbuster, going back to the original definition, is it literally tore up the box office, right? But also, the reason I'm categorizing these is because I think each and every one of these movies could, you know, be a contender as just simply Best Picture of the Year. So I'm cheating with these categories because I can't just choose one. And look, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, no other movie I had as much fun with. But this is a movie that challenged the sameness of kind of the comic book genre and stood out in that way, and I love the way it did that because it didn't just do that with its artistry, it didn't just do that with its storytelling, it did that with this emotional arc where this Spider-Man, Miles Morales, chose to stand apart from all the other Spider-Man. That's the emotional story of this, and it really it helped this movie stand apart from the pack, not just as a towering blockbuster, but just a towering work of art.
Oh, I love this one too. You and I agree. Here's one where we disagree. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, according to you, is the best family movie of the year.
I want to hear how you disagree.
No, I want to hear from you. Tell me why.
I mean, look, this is, I feel like too many people slept on this movie. And of course, because it's a familiar story, it's an adaptation of a Judy Blume novel about a young girl dealing with puberty. And, you know, like, it's just, we're familiar with this type of story. We're familiar with this story. We're familiar with this type of storytelling. I think people took that for granted, even though I've never seen it told as joyously and as beautifully as this movie did it. And, you know, there was just, it was such a joy bringing this story to my kids who are right at that age where this kind of story means so much to them.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, I can see why you pick it. I'm curious why you've chosen an art house melodrama, May December, as the best comedy movie of the year? You need to explain yourself here.
Yeah, big question mark around best comedy on this one because, like, look, the Golden Globes, it's competing at the Golden Globes as a comedy, and it was actually the funniest movie I saw this year, but funny in a way, it was also one of the most deeply uncomfortable movies I saw this year because, yes, this is a dark melodrama about a relationship, a predatory relationship. It's based on the real-life story about a teacher who had an affair with her 13-year-old student and then goes on to marry him. And then it's about this actress played by Natalie Portman who goes into her life wanting to play this predatory woman in a movie. And in turn, Natalie Portman's character, the actress, because she starts crossing some moral boundaries to get there. So yes, deeply uncomfortable stuff that uses comedy to like help us digest some of this, but powerful stuff nonetheless. You gotta watch it.
You're right. Okay, so best international film in your view?
Yeah, The Zone of Interest. So this is an international in the sense that it's an American production with a British director, but it's about Auschwitz. It's about the family that was running Auschwitz. It's about their, you know, you see them in their garden while Auschwitz is just over the wall there. It's about how they compartmentalize themselves to commit these human atrocities. It's about how we can all be complicit in a genocide, how easy that becomes, and which just feels so relevant today. And it's just, there's no other movie that was told as airtight and as explosively as this movie this year.
Title again?
The Zone of Interest. It's spreading to theaters right now.
Okay. Best American film, Killers of the Flower Moon. We saw Martin Scorsese reunite with his two favorite actors. It was a 3-hour epic about crime and betrayal. Why is this movie on your list of favorites?
3.5 hours.
Oh, sorry. The extra 30.
Well, look, I mean, you know, between Zone of Interest and Killers of the Flower Moon, I see these movies as bedfellows because they're both about our complicity in genocide. And the way that Killers of the Flower Moon approaches it, it's messier, it's more earnest in how it's trying to like grapple with our emotions and our guilt and our complicity in these acts. You know, and the thing is, I want to call this the best American film of the year, not just best film of the year, because the American part of this is important. It's about the Americans, the white settlers that built America who, you know, commit crime against indigenous communities. But also, I'm saying it's best American film of the year because we need to grapple with the perspective. A lot of the conversations around this movie was, you know, the fact that Martin Scorsese could not, you know, inhabit the indigenous perspective. There's a story about the crimes committed against an indigenous community, but the indigenous characters, this is a story that doesn't necessarily do justice by them. And Martin Scorsese puts himself in this movie to kind of grapple with the fact that there was no way for him to be able to tell this story while doing justice to those indigenous characters. And that's part of what made this movie so much more fascinating and provoked a lot of really powerful, really confrontational, really tough questions and conversations around this movie, which kept bringing me back and back and back to that film.
Yeah, I know. You had a lot to say on this, both in print and on our show. Brad, great to have you here. Thanks for your picks today.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.